You know what they say, if you're constantly having to be the bigger person all the time, you're hanging around too many small damn people, okay? And you gotta let them go. Disregard them before they destroy you in the long run. And what I'm not saying is throw away loyalty, okay? Loyalty is the most important thing to have in this crazy world. You know, trusting people, trusting friends, who you can count on when life gets really difficult, right? But there are certain people that exist just to be energy vampires. What do I mean by that? They want to make everyone around them miserable. They gain happiness from that. They get high off of that. That's it. You know, they just exist to be a pain in the ass. There's some internet quote that I've remembered from a few years back, you know, when I was a kid. And I know it's kind of cheesy, but, you know, as I've gotten further in life, I've kind of agreed with it, actually. A friend to all is a friend to none. Okay, and what that basically means is that if you try to be a good, honest person equally with everybody, you'll realize that you're being a good person to the true friends of yours, but the people that don't deserve it are getting your attention as well, okay? And you're missing out on hanging out with just your true friends, which is what you want. Yeah, but who would actually sympathize with the bad people in their life, you know, and try to give them another chance?
I'm talking about myself here, so me.
I tried to do that, you know, a couple years ago, until very recently when I realized that is not going to work out for me, and that's not healthy at all. I know good people don't do things for the reward, right? They don't do it for money, recognition, none of that. They do it because deep down they're a good person with a good heart. Then again, at the end of all this, and trying to sympathize with bad people in my life, I've got nothing except missed opportunities where I could have just been hanging out with my friends and made happy memories there. But no, because I try to be a good person, you know, maybe that's my fault. Maybe it's my fault for not realizing earlier, you know. But what can you do?
Looking back, I left it on a little bit of a cliffhanger, so I'll say this. It's not your fault bad stuff happens to you, but it is your responsibility to get better.
And you know what's crazy? It's that these people, these fucking pricks, will be in therapy talking about how they should be the one that should heal from this, and then the person will agree with them. Okay? I'm sorry I'm getting a bit caught up, but it's the truth. This is why this shit doesn't work. Toxic people will fucking run faster than Usain Bolt from accountability. They don't know what the hell it is. But whatever happened in the past, I won't let that change me into becoming a worse person, just like them, right? And this is where me and the crazy people don't think alike. We think different on this. Because a lot of people will use the quote, if you're not adding value to my life, I'm just going to cut you off. That's what a lot of people are doing. You know, I don't like when people say that, you know, if you don't add any value, I'm just going to cut you off. First of all, your lifelong friends, the ones that you grew up with when you were in school together, you're just going to throw them away, you know, if just because they don't add any value. But as well, for me, it's never just been about who is going to benefit me in my social circle, you know. It's also been about who I can help, because people are messed up sometimes and they need help. And for me, I'm willing to give that. It makes me happy to do so. It makes me happy to just help people. But I understand with the way things are right now, things are very capitalistic. Everything needs to be a transaction for some people. It's just the way it is. But I don't see it that way. And so as long as I don't see it that way, I'm not going to follow that. So that's all that matters to me. This is my opinion, but I don't think everything has to be a transaction nowadays. You know, if you're my friend, I don't have to charge you $5 every single time we hang out. Like, that would be crazy. You know, when was companionship not enough? When was just being a friend to someone not enough? I know it's the selfish, self-absorbed people that be saying that. But what's funny is that oftentimes they add the least amount of value compared to anyone else, you know? So you saying that is kind of your only defense mechanism, you know? I'll cut you off if you don't add any value. You yourself don't add any value anyway. So it's kind of like you're a hypocrite. So if I were to wrap this up, I would say that you do not want to be friends with everybody, okay? Not everybody is awesome, all right? You got to look out for that. Some people are only there to make you miserable. And that's it. You know, if I were to put it like that, just simple. You know, you got to remain composed. Keep it cool, okay? Don't fall for that bullshit, you know? Fuck whatever they got to say. You know, you keep being you. Keep being what a good person you were before them. Don't let them change that. So, never make the same mistake twice. Or you can do what I did and make it 5 times just to be sure. And now I'm sure.